Three sisters lived in a thick, quiet forest, not knowing what would happen to them. When their father goes missing, the two older sisters go into the woods to find him but never come back. The kind youngest sister decides to follow the same path. She finds a strange hut where being kind is the secret to breaking a magic curse and finding a hidden prince. Once upon a time, there was a poor woodcutter who lived in a dense forest with his wife and 3 daughters. Every day, he would go into the forest, cut wood, and sell it in the village to make a living. One evening, as the sky turned golden and pink, he told his wife, "Tomorrow, ask our eldest daughter to bring me some food from the village, as my work in the forest will be long and I might be late coming back." The next day, the eldest daughter packed some bread, cheese, and a bowl of soup in a small basket and set off into the woods. But the forest was thick, and as the trees rustled in the wind, it felt as if they were whispering to each other. The sun set quickly, and she lost her way. As the darkness spread like a heavy blanket, fear gripped her heart. Suddenly, she noticed a faint light shining through the trees. She followed it and arrived at a deserted hut with old wooden windows and smoke curling out of the chimney. She knocked on the door, and it creaked open, revealing an old man with a long white beard and sharp, alert eyes. Behind him stood a hen, a rooster, and a speckled cow, their eyes glowing in the dim light. The girl hesitantly asked, "Good evening, sir. I seem to have lost my way. May I spend the night here?" The old man turned to his animals and asked, "Shall we let her in?" The animals nodded. "You may stay," he said, "but first, you must prepare dinner." The eldest daughter made a delicious meal and placed it in front of the old man. But when she sat down to eat, she ignored the hungry animals who were watching her with longing eyes. Later that night, when she asked for a bed, the old man pointed upstairs, and she climbed up to sleep. But as soon as she lay down, the floor beneath her creaked loudly. A hidden door opened, and with a scream, she was swallowed into the darkness. The next morning, her mother, worried that her daughter had not returned, sent the second daughter with food. She too lost her way and arrived at the same hut. She asked for shelter and, like her sister, prepared food. But she ignored the animals as they looked at her with hungry eyes. That night, the same fate befell her. The floor opened, and she fell into the dark void. On the third day, the youngest daughter, known for her kindness and generosity, set out with food for her father. The forest whispered around her, but she bravely walked on. As night began to fall, she too came upon the same lonely hut. The old man opened the door, and she greeted him with a warm smile. "Sir, I seem to have lost my way. May I spend the night here?" The old man turned to his animals, asking, "Shall we let her in?" The animals nodded, and the girl was invited inside. "But first, you must prepare dinner." She immediately set to work, using fragrant herbs and stirring the pot. The whole house filled with a delicious aroma. When the food was ready, she placed it in front of the old man. But this time, she noticed the animals and offered them food as well. She scattered grains for the birds and laid fresh grass for the cow. The cow gently rubbed her side against the girl as if thanking her. Later that night, when she asked for a bed, the old man smiled and pointed to the stairs. She went upstairs, and as soon as she lay down, she felt a calm and peaceful presence in the air. Suddenly, the house seemed to tremble, as if something powerful was shifting. But just as quickly as it had begun, everything was silent again. When the girl woke up the next morning, her heart skipped a beat. The old, crumbling hut had vanished, and in its place stood a magnificent palace with golden chandeliers and marble floors. The walls were adorned with colorful stained glass windows. Standing before her was not the old man she had met the previous night, but a handsome young prince, his eyes gleaming with love and gratitude. "You broke the curse," the prince said, his voice filled with emotion. "A wicked sorceress had trapped me in the form of an old man. I could not be free until a kind-hearted woman came along who showed mercy not just to humans, but to animals as well. Your kindness has freed me." The prince summoned his advisors, who explained that the rooster, hen, and speckled cow were the enchanted animals. The girl had saved them as well, and they had now returned to their true forms. The prince turned to the girl and said, "You have saved us all. Will you stay with me?" His voice was filled with sincerity and affection. The girl, moved by his words, agreed. News of the girl's transformation spread throughout the land, and soon, her parents were summoned to the palace. When they arrived, they were shocked to see their daughter standing in royal attire, alongside the prince. The prince, with deep respect, bowed to them and said, Your daughter has freed me from an eternal curse. If you permit, I would like to marry her." Overcome with joy, the parents embraced their daughter and gave their consent. However, justice had to be served. The prince commanded that the elder two sisters, who had been selfish and unkind, be sent into a remote forest where they were made to work in a coal mine until their hearts softened and they learned to show kindness to all creatures. As for the youngest daughter, she married the prince and became the princess. The royal wedding was celebrated for days, and the kingdom rejoiced in the kindness and love that had broken the curse.